हरे कृष्ण। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय गिरिवरधारी, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन, यमुना तीरावनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन, यशोदान यमुना तीरावनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन, यमुना तीरावनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन, यमुना तीरावनचारी, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Vinod Radhe Jaya. Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Subhadra Mai Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Jagan. Jaya Gaura Sundar Jaya Nityananda Nattavara Gaura Sundar Jaya Nityananda Nattavara. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nithai Gaura Hari Bol Nithai Gaura Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tado Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayasha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhagati Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathaksam Visamtam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauradushe Nama He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste तप्त कांचन गौरांगी शिराधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam. Hare Krishna. Welcome all to the Sunday feast, and in continuation to the pastimes that we have been hearing to set up the mood for the upcoming Janmashtami. So today we have, I've been given the seva of describing the pastime of Agasura vada. So this is from Canto 10, Chapter 12. The entire chapter is dedicated to the vada of Agasura. So before I start, I would like to seek blessings from this Vaishnava assembly here, my seniors. Please shower a cross, mercy and blessings so that I can glorify Srimad Bhagavatam, the devotees of Lord Krishna, and to purify myself also. So these pastimes, this demon killing, basically the Asura killing, has its own significance in terms of the chivalry, the what is the Veera Rasa that Krishna shows at a very small, tender age. But at the same time, there is something which is very scary to all of us also, and that is what that killing of Asura represents, and which represents some of the other anartha. And that is the most scary part because it actually reveals. So whenever we hear this pastime, right, the inside churning happens, and where we trying to find that yes, something of that is present in me as well. How much ever we get into denial, but somewhere something, at least I can talk for myself that definitely all this tons and tons of anarthas are there. Now, for example, the first demon who was killed was we all know was Putana, and Putana resembled the pseudo guru. Okay. And then we have, I'll just name few of the asuras and the related anarthas. So Putana was representing pseudo guru, Shakatasura, who represent cart loads of old and new bad habits, lethargy also. And Trinavarta represented false pride from material scholarship, and Bakasura represent cunning duplicity, and Pralambasura represented lusty inclinations, desire for personal gain and honor. So like that, these all anarthas are represented. There are many other asuras also were representing different anarthas. These are some of them. Now, anarthas are there, definitely. Now, it doesn't mean we should be in a state of denial. Yeah. Krishna has given us hope, and it starts from Bhagavad Gita itself, where we all know the beautiful shloka 12th chapter 6 and 7. It says, Tesham aham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami na chirat partha maya visheta maya aveshita chestitam. Now, if you understand this shloka, aveshita chetasam is represented by the cowherd boys, the Gopas. Now, Gopas, they were all attracted but attached to Krishna. And if if you are also in the same mood, if you are also attached to Krishna, and most important, if you are attached to Krishna's seva and seva to the devotees, the result is Tesham aham samudharta. Krishna says, I'll personally come to deliver. Deliver from what? Mrityu samsara sagarat. And this says, Bhavami nachirat. It will not take much time. The only ask from Krishna is that you chant my holy name, be attached to me, be attached to my seva and seva to my devotee. That is the only ask that Krishna has. So he says, he gives us, it's a very hope-giving verse that, whatever position we are, whenever we hear this pastimes of Asura Vada, whatever anarthas they represent, whatever amount, whatever proportion of anarthas, whether little, small, big, log, whatever size we have this hope from Krishna. The only, along with that anartha, so let's not endeavor to try and remove this anarthas. The only endeavor, the only ask that Krishna has is aveshita chestita. That is, you just be attached to me, to my seva and seva to my devotees. That is the only ask. If I give an example to that, if we all know, when we were also kids, or we do to our kids also, we ask the kid to come walk slowly. And sometimes what if the kid is not able to walk, we extend our fingers. Let the child hold these fingers and help it to walk. So there's such baby small steps are there, but the baby might fall. But when the parents extend their helping hand, that baby is able to walk. So similarly, Krishna is giving such hope-giving verses where Krishna is also extending his, maybe sometimes finger for some of us, maybe the full palm or full hand sometimes. It depends on the proportion. Yeah. In our earlier stages, whichever stage we are, yeah, these anarthas pop up here and there. Yeah. But our only endeavor is to pray to Krishna that I don't have a hope to clarify this, to clear this anartha. But the only hope that I have is you can help to clear that anartha. So the idea of discussing these anarthas or this Asura Vada is not to get into a mood of depression. So much anarthas is there. Yeah. It's not that. The idea of discussing this pastimes of Asura Vada and to discuss about the anartha that represent is that it helps us to detect that well ahead of time. There was this devotee who wrote a letter to his senior that, Prabhuji, I had some pain and then I went to the doctor and doctor said, Bhai, aapko to cancer hai. He was shocked, shell shocked, but fortunately it was in the first stage. So another 1 or 2 years, he went into medication and it was clear. And then he wrote an email back to and spoke to the Prabhuji saying, yes, everything is fine. So this is what. So this example is to signify that, if we are able to detect this anarthas well in time, there is a hope that we can clear that anarthas also. Okay. So what happens? So if we detect the anartha, what is the next step that we have to do? Right? We obviously pray to Krishna because we pray that Krishna, I myself cannot release this, cannot cleanse this anartha. My only hope is you. So what happens is, we pray that, it's too much for me to handle. And on my own, it's too much for me to handle on my own. Please help me, Krishna. So what happens is, it makes us humble. Second, it gets us into a prayerful mood. And also the most important part is, it helps us be more dependent on Krishna. That's what Krishna wants. So that Krishna can remove it. Now, other things which happens, as we start getting into this prayerful mood, we become more sincere. It makes us help more intense. Our bhakti, the process of bhakti becomes more intensified. The churning happens. When the Samudra Manthan happened, when the churning happened, what came first was the halahala, right? So like that, when you'll see that, when the churning happens, when intensity increases, automatically, the these tendencies start fructifying and starts coming out. We need not worry. We just keep endeavoring. Yeah, intensify the churning. That's the whole idea. By intensifying our sadhana. Yeah, and it also makes us fearful of Maya. Yeah, so these are some, and in a healthy way. Yeah? So these are, and it also helps us to take steps to keep us away from the temptation that Maya brings in. So what we saw is anarthas, in a sense, are good if we detect them early, and being in the association of devotees, we ensure that we take steps to pray to Krishna, go more closer to Krishna, intensify our prayers, that Krishna, you can help remove these anarthas. That is what we should do, rather than putting some endeavors that to remove these anarthas on our own. So with that, if we get into this today's topic, or the pastime of Agasura vada. Now, who was Agasura? We all know. He was the dearmost brother of Putana and Bakasura. Okay. Now, before Aghasura started his pastime, these two were already killed by Krishna. Now, what happened? Aghasura got mad. He went into a fit of, madness that, I want to take revenge now. Okay. The only difference was that he did not want to kill Krishna alone. All these asuras which were earlier, whether it was Bakasura or Putna, they only wanted to kill Krishna, because that was a project that was given by their dear master Kamsa. But here, Aghasura took that project to a different level. He wanted to kill the Gopas also. He did not want only to kill Krishna, he wanted to kill the Gopas also. The idea was, if the Gopas are killed, if the tender boys are killed, what will happen? The parents, the Brajavasis, will also die automatically in separation. See uh, the proportion of envy, or that proportion of revenge that was there in Aghasura. Not to kill Krishna, but also the Gopas, and indirectly get the Brajavasis also killed directly. Okay. Now, Sukadeva Goswami very beautifully starts this pastime. Krishna, usually, we all know that how Krishna used to go with the lunch box and all. Yeah. So Krishna, this particular day, decided to go on a picnic early morning. They took their breakfast or boxes also with them. He blew off his buffalo horn and all the gopas, and along with their calves, because they were tending to calves, not the cows at that time. So they all gathered, and they all with their breakfast, boxes, they all started for a picnic to the forest. Now, they all had requested their mothers. This was all well planned. Yeah. So they all packed all these things and they started. Now, the beautiful thing is, whenever Krishna, or for that matter, the Gopas also, when they used to go out to the forest, their mothers used to decorate them nicely. And nicely means beautiful clothes, nice ornaments. Everything was very meticulously done. So Mother Yashoda, we not to talk about that, but then so meticulously she used to decorate Krishna and put all the ornaments on. Yeah. But what used to happen is, while doing this, she knows that Krishna is going to go out to the forest, which means she gets in the mood of separation now. For that matter, it is said that in the daytime, when Krishna leaves Mother Yashoda gets in the mood of separation. When Krishna leaves the Gopas is to get in the mood of separation. To the fact that, Gopas is to come into the night to Mother Yashoda, knocking, Krishna, please, let's go. Mother Yashoda is to open the door and said, boss, it is night. You have to go to the forest in the morning. please go and sleep and then come in the morning. Mother Yashoda's intensity of separation goes to another level. So like all mothers, mothers are here. More than fathers, the mothers have this intensity of separation with the children. When Krishna is to start leaving, mother is to call, Lala, Kana, please come here. I think your waist belt is not tied properly. So she used to tie that properly. Okay. And then I should check and okay, now it is fine. Please go. Kana, just one moment. Please, can you come back? Can you wait there? I'll just come. I think your ornaments are not properly done. So she used to said that. This is all in the mood of separation. Again, as soon as Kana goes a little forward, she'll call him. Wait, let me come forward. Did you take your lunch boxes? Did you take all the breakfast boxes? Krishna used to say, Mother, you want to come with me? No, it's okay, you go. And then Mother Yashoda used to stand there looking at Krishna as he used to go till the last speck of dust settles down to the ground. Mother Yashoda is to keep looking to the place where Krishna is going into the forest. Such was the intensity of separation that Mother Yashoda had when Krishna is to leave. Okay. Then, so while one other aspect of this particular point that Mother Yashoda used to put ornaments to Krishna. Now, ornaments do not make Krishna beautiful. The ornaments become more beautiful when Krishna wears it. Okay. It is also said, it's a very beautiful shloka. It says, Param Padam Bhushana Bhushanangam. I don't have the verse number here. I'll just read out the shloka. It says, Yan Martya Lilopaikam Swayoga Maya Balam Darshayata Grihitam Vismapanam Swasya Saubhargade Param Padam Bhushana Bhushanangam. So all these bhushana, the ornaments, become more beautiful when Krishna wears it. Okay. Now, then it is also said that I think it is shloka number first or second only, when Krishna calls all the gopas and cows, the word used is asankhyatir. How many gopas, how many cows were there? Asankhyatir. It says Krishna Vatsair Asankhyatir. And in technical, it is also said that in some acharyas written, it is 10 to the power of 51. You add the zeros, that many of zeros. Yeah. So asankhya, that many. So we don't have to understand what is the count, how many gopas, how many cows are there. It was unlimited. Yeah. So now, they are all ready. They have their breakfast boxes. Everything is ready. Now they are entering into that picnic mood. Now, if you can, Prabhuji, display shloka number 7 to 10. Okay, that particular shloka, that set of shlokas signify the what all, how picnic was enjoyed. We all know how we used to enjoy picnic in our before Krishna conscious days, and at least if I speak of myself, but now after Krishna conscious days also, this enjoyment, how Krishna and the Gopas enjoyed. If you read that translation, what Prabhupada has written, it is so amazing. Yeah? So I'll just read out this translation. We'll come to know how Krishna and Gopas used to enjoy their picnic. Okay. So it says, all the boys would be differently engaged. How? Some boys blew the flutes and others blew bugles made of horn. Now the next line. Some imitate the buzzing of humble bees. These are the fun activities that are happening in the picnic. Others imitate the voice of the cuckoo. Some boys, I don't know how many of you have done this. If you read this, some boys imitated flying birds by running after the bird's shadow on the ground. Some imitated the beautiful movements and attractive postures of the swans. Some sat down with the ducks, sitting silently, and others imitated the dancing of the peacocks. Some boys attracted young monkeys in the trees. Some jumped into the trees, imitating the monkeys. Some made faces as the monkeys were accustomed to do, and others jumped from one branch to another. Some boys went to the waterfalls and crossed over the river, jumping with the frogs. I don't know how many of you are fortunate enough to have these kind of techniques. We used to have in our early days some places, but I don't know how many of you are fortunate to have at least go to a scenic hill station where you could do some, at least near a waterfall or something. Now, and when they saw their own reflections on the water, they would laugh. They would also condemn the sounds of their own echoes. It is also mentioned that whenever there is a well or some dent, they used to call out, and when the sound used to come back, they used to blaspheme that, chastise that sound itself, the echo which used to come. I've never heard of such thing which happened. Now, in this way, all the cowherd boys used to play with Krishna, who's the source. Now, this is a very beautiful shloka that we should meditate. Now, picnic, fun, in the spiritual world, picnic is, this is how it is done. Material world picnic, we all know. But the essence of such a picnic, now this is also very wonderful. If you see the last shloka, Ittam Satam Brahma Saukhan Sukhanabhutya Dasyam Gatanam Paradaivatena Maya Ashritanam Naradarakena Sakam Vijaru Kritapunya Punjaha. And this is a very beautiful line, how we should understand. Okay. This is the last paragraph in the translation. In this way, all the cowherd boys used to play with Krishna, who is the source of the Brahman effulgence for jnanis, desiring to merge into that effulgence. Who is the supreme personality of Godhead for devotees? There are three categories mentioned over here. First one is the jnanis, okay, who desire to merge into the Brahman effulgence. The second category is mentioned is about the devotees who have accepted eternal servitorship, and who for ordinary persons, these are the materialistic or the karmis, is but another ordinary child. For them, Krishna is another ordinary child. This is how they look at me. The cowherd boys, now the most important piece, what Prabhupada writes in the translation is the next two lines. It's very important for us to meditate on. The cowherd boys, having accumulated the results of pious activities for many lives, were able to associate in this way with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How can one explain their great fortune? Question mark. So Prabhupada is putting a question here. We can't even fathom the fortune of these gopas that they have, that they are playing with Krishna in such a wonderful, joyful way. Yeah. So the picnic is in the peak now. They're all very much engaged. Now what happens is, so everything. Okay, one more other beautiful thing, but which pastime that the fun that they used to have is, sometimes Krishna used to go and stand at a little distance. Okay, now this gopas would say, "I will catch Krishna," and while running they used to say, "Aham purvam," I will go first and touch Krishna. But whoever touches Krishna, the others never had any. They did not have this competitive mentality. They never had a grudge that he ran fast and he could touch, I could not touch. So they never had a grudge on the other person, other gopa who could run and touch Krishna first. So there was never a competitive mentality within the gopas. So the attraction or attachment to Krishna was never like this. It was always same, come what may, in whatever situation, whether Krishna is looking at them or whether Krishna is not looking at them. Whether the gopa touched Krishna, could touch Krishna first, or I could touch second. There was never a competitive mentality, which is the so-called ornament of this material world. Yeah. In our companies also, we know, whoever is working, we all know how difficult it is, how competitive the world is. Yeah. So in the spiritual world, with the gopas, there is never a competitive mentality, but there is always appreciation for the others. If the other devotee, other gopa reaches first or does something better than what I could do, there was never a grudge. There was never a malice, kept in the heart. Never was that such a situation. Now, as the Gopas were playing, our character for today, Agasura, he is watching all these things. Already he was in the mood of revenge. And when he sees how the Gopas and Krishnas are so happily, enjoying, his revenge, his anger went to the peak. Yeah. Now, this Aghasura was in the form of a python, most specifically like a python. Yeah. We all know what in Hindi it is called as Ajgar also. I don't know in Kannada what we call, but python is one who swallows. He doesn't bite. Okay, he will swallow the prey. Yeah. Now, he was in the form of a python, and we all know brother of Bakasura and Putana. Agha, the word Agha means sin, and Asura means demon. So in the name itself, Agasura is a sinful demon, right? Putana, Bakasura, it doesn't sound like there is some kind of a word, but Agha means sin. The Asura itself personified sin, okay, sinful demon. To the fact that the demigods also were awaiting his death. Such a sinful person, sinful demon he was. Yeah. Now, the enviousness peaked, and this enviousness took the form of hatred and then violence. Enviousness, to the extent it is envy in the heart, if it is, if it personifies, if it is, gets represented in some other form, but this is the most ghastly form that it can get represented, the envy, that is in the form of hatred, and in turn in the form of violence. Yeah. As I said earlier also, he did not want to kill Krishna alone, but also all the Gopas. Na rega bas, na bajegi bansuri. That kind of a attitude he had. So what he did, he opened his mouth wide open to the extent that the upper lip was touching the clouds. Yeah. And the bottom was on the ground, and his tongue, he laid his tongue. It was actually, it is said, I think it was 8 or 80 miles long. Yeah. And his tongue, he kept his tongue in such a way that it looked like how this path is there, right? This middle path, like that. Like you can consider me as Aghasura. If I keep the mouth wide open, right? The tongue is like this wide path. Yeah, that way. So now, as envious person who cannot tolerate others' happiness, similarly, this Aghasura also, as I said, could not tolerate the happiness. He lined up, he set the scene in such a way that he will ensure he will ensure that he's in such a form that the Gopas feel like coming to him, and he can swallow them. So as expected, the Gopas were all having in a fun mood, and they saw this thing over there, which was like a cave. So some of the Gopas said that it looks like a cave, but where did it come from? It was never there earlier. We've been coming to this place, never there earlier. So this cave was there, cave-like thing was there. Some said, nay, this looks like a python. Yeah. But now the most interesting part here is, though they are trying to identify that this is some kind of a danger or something for us, they never had fear. That's the most beautiful part. Why they did not have fear? Because they had innocent and simple faith on Krishna. Why? All the earlier times, what did Krishna do? Whenever there was some kind of an attack or some disturbance, Krishna was always there. They had this faith, this simple and innocent faith that Krishna will protect us. Yeah. And obviously, Krishna also reciprocated to their faith. So it is said, to the degree we are faithful to Krishna's protection, to the degree we are faithful to Krishna's protection, to that degree, Krishna is eager to protect us. Yeah. Because Krishna gives preference to faithful devotees. He gives that preference. And we all know our process of bhakti starts or begins by faith. And then it actually, like this mouth of Agasura, like it kind of widens. The faith, as we connect with devotees, as we associate with devotees, Small tidbits here and there are there. Yeah, but always, when, see, as I said, to the degree we are faithful. So whenever, I remember there was earlier day, when we used to do some small preaching work and all, there was this Mataji used to come, and she had just started 2 or 3 days. We just started that session. She attended third or something, and she started, "Mera ungli kat gaya." How did Krishna do that to me? We were like stunned. I mean, how she is connecting that to Krishna. But then what we said was, you know, probably you should have got something bigger, but then a chota ungli mein kat gaya. I mean, it's just small cut, so you could manage by that. But when we as devotee, we start seeing that build that faith initially, but as we get in the association of devotee, as Krishna reciprocates, right? So there is a faith and directly proportional reciprocation. If we are grateful to that reciprocation, the faith widens. You're getting my point? The faith widens. So when the faith widens, the reciprocation of Krishna also widens. And when we are again grateful to that particular widened reciprocation of Krishna, the faith again widens, which means Krishna's reciprocation also widens. This is how our faith widens and progresses. Okay. The only ask from us is never leave that gratitude. Never leave that gratefulness that we should have. Today, it's a very special day today. You know what is the day today? When Srila Prabhupada departed for US. How grateful we should be today that we are all sitting here in this wonderful ICC temple. And here on a Sunday morning, we are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam Katha. Who gave this to us? Who gave this to us? Just imagine, just go back and try to contemplate on this. If today in the sense this day, Srila Prabhupada had not departed for US, where you and me would be. Yeah. So how grateful we should. This gratitude, this gratefulness will help widen our faith, and with that, directly proportional will be Krishna's reciprocation for us, Krishna's protection for us. Now, protection doesn't mean, I am driving a bicycle and, samne se another bicycle or car is coming and he took a left turn. He deviated and I was saved. I am not talking of that protection. I am talking about protection, our sadhana. I'm talking of protection about our Krishna consciousness, our dealing with devotees. Our dealing with devotees, Krishna has to protect us so that we do not get into, offensive. We not make any offense. We don't make any aprad when we are dealing with devotees. That is the protection that I'm talking about. Yeah. So with that, Gopas, with this simple faith and innocent faith, Gopas just walk onto this path that we have into the Agasura's mouth. But does Agasura close his mouth? Because his intention is not only the Gopas, his intention is Krishna also. So he's waiting patiently. Gopas are already inside. Now Krishna sees this. Now Krishna, actually, if you ask me you might ask, what was Krishna doing? Krishna was always there, right? You could have stopped them. Krishna actually tried stopping them, but this is a pastime that Krishna wanted to enact. This is the Leela Shakti of Krishna. So the Leela Shakti of Krishna made the Gopas entered, and that Leela Shakti itself made Krishna also acted to enter into the mouth of Agasura. Yeah? And Krishna also entered. As soon as Krishna entered, the mouth was closed. Now, as Krishna was entering, now say Krishna also gets into a situation. Now here Krishna is got into a situation. You know what the situation is? So I'll give you a clue. When Krishna killed Putana, did he have a situation? He had to kill Putana. When Bakasura swallowed Krishna, he had to kill Bakasura. Now what is the situation? Who's inside? The Gopas are also inside. That is the situation. Krishna was contemplating that my dear Gopas are inside the mouth of Agasura. How shall I kill him? Because there is a possibility that If I kill Agasura in the way, you know how Putana was killed. You know how how Bakasura was killed. He just, ripped apart his two jaws, right? I can't kill Agasura like that because my Gopas will get killed. So now, as Krishna enters, yeah, he reaches the throat and he sees all his Gopas are, because ultimately he's a python, and a python, he's all those dirt inside, right? Because when the mouth was wide open, right, the breath also was coming outside, the fuming hot breath. So that all was poisonous inside. This person was a sinful demon. So all poison was inside, outside, antar bahir, everything was poison only, right? So now, with that poisonous ambience inside, the Gopas were already unconscious or lifeless. Krishna sees that. He's near the throat. Okay. Now what he does is he starts expanding himself to the extent that now Mr. Agasura also started up expanding. But how much can he expand than Krishna? He cannot expand more than Krishna. So Krishna expanded to the extent that he choked up Agasura. His life air could not find a way out. His life air finally just burst open from the top, and Agasura was killed. Yeah. Now, as soon as Agasura left his body, that spark, right, it waited in front of his corpse. It did not leave. It waited in front of its own corpse because it was waiting for Krishna to come out. Now all this expansion and choking and all happened, nobody was seeing. Gopas are already lifeless over there. So now Krishna just glanced on the Gopas, and the Gopas were revived again. So which means his just loving glance made the Gopas revive again. So that is how Krishna's glance. So Krishna, when he glances lovingly, whenever we stand in front of Sri Radha Vinod, we just look at the merciful eyes of Srimati Radharani and Sri Vinod. All our distress will be gone just like this. But you should have that faith. What kind of faith? The simple and innocent faith like the Gopas. The faith should not be like a diluted faith. Okay, those who have this wide faith, definitely they will see all those, merciful glance, and the distress can go off in a kshana. Okay. Now, as soon as Krishna came out of Agasura's mouth, Agasura's corpse's mouth, this the soul which was there, it merged into Krishna. He got not Sayujya, he got Sarupya Mukti actually. So Sayujya Mukti when he merges, but he got Sarupya Mukti. And this is the beautiful part of this whole pastime. He got Sarupya Mukti. What is Sarupya Mukti? He gets the same form. Okay, we'll discuss this a little later, why that happened. What is the tattva? We'll just understand a little later. Now, because we might ask a question, definitely Anjan Prabhu will have that question, that why Sarupya Mukti? That, even after, with that intention that Aghasura wanted not only to kill Krishna, but also the Gopas and eventually all the Brajavasis. How can he get Sarupya Mukti? Yeah. Now, Krishna's reciprocation. So Putana, we know that particular pastime where Putana became the Dhatri in the spiritual world. Why that happened? Because Putana, at least for that moment, acted as a mother to Krishna. So Krishna saw that one small good quality. Now in this, can somebody tell me what was that good quality that Krishna would have seen in Aghasura? So the Aghasura's mouth was wide open so that the Gopas can enter. Yeah. But the Gopas in that playful mood, we spoke about, they were in a picnic mood, right? The picnic mood is picnic mood, wherever, whether you're in front of a snake or Agasura or python or whatever, or a waterfall, right? They were in that mood. And when they saw Agasura, they were still in that joyful mood. So somehow or other, Aghasura gave some pleasure to Krishna's Gopas. That was the only quality. That was the only quality that Krishna saw in Aghasura. Though he was supposed to get Sayuja, he got Sarupya Mukti. He got a form, 400 form in the spiritual world. Now, who was Aghasura? Aghasura was the son of Shankachuda. And this Aghasura was a very beautiful personality, very beautiful, youthful and strong, and a very nice personality he had. So obviously what came with that was pride. Okay. Now with that pride, everything and whatever this person did was only to, kind of condemn, chastise, or make fun of others. So in that particular mood, I think it once he saw Ashtavakra Muni. We all have heard of Ashtavakra Muni. His body was not straight. He used to be bent at multiple. Ashtavakra means at 8 places he was bent. So when Agha, the son of Shankachuda, he saw Ashtavakra Muni, he laughed at him. He said, "Hey, see, such a person who is bent and crooked at many places." Ashtavakra Muni was not so happy with this particular thought that he had, with this comment that Agha had made. So, since the Muni was raged enough, he actually gave him a curse that you Agha, being proud of your youthful body and this beautiful body and youth and your strong body and all, you have pride in you. So I curse you that you get this body of a snake which is bent at all places. It just slithers, at every places it is bent. At that, when he heard that, when he got that body, Agha became morose. He literally understood that what kind of a mistake he had done, what kind of a aparad or a offense he had done, and he begs for forgiveness. So Ashtavakra Muni says, he requested for mercy that somehow bring me out of this cursed condition. I mean, Ashtavakra Muni said, it is next to impossible that I can take back, but only thing I can tell you this, that you will be liberated after a certain time by the most. You were proud of your beauty, of your body. You will be liberated by the most beautiful person, who is more beautiful than who even Cupid looks up to. He will be liberated by that person, and none other than Krishna himself. Aghasura, and obviously he was a demon also. So Aghasura was happy that at least he would not go into that particular stay in that same body, but he would at least get the darshan of that most beautiful person, and he actually gets that. So so that is who Aghasura or Agha was in early life. Now to the point where what Aghasura represents, the anartha. So all the demons certainly represent some kind of a negative trait or a personality, okay, or obviously unwanted, some anarthas. Yeah. Now, and Krishna is kind enough to liberate all these demons, and obviously for us to pray that these anarthas also get liberated to whatever proportion we have. Okay. And similarly, we all know that if we take shelter of Krishna and perform bhakti yoga, Krishna will be kind enough to kill that anarthas in us to whatever extent that we have. Aghasura represented envy, but most important is that because of the envy, the mentality of cruelty and violence, that is what Agasura represented. And that is obviously towards that mentality of cruelty and violence, which is born out of envy towards others. And envy means not having that ability to tolerate happiness, seeing others. And this is actually a very deep rooted anartha also. Okay, when we see somebody happy, when we somebody see being praised, if we feel, Are, why only he or she? Why not me? That is envy. You're not able to tolerate that happiness when we see others get that. Yeah. And what happens when we are inflicted or when we are affected by this deep rooted anartha of envy? First is we are not able to properly chant the holy name. Yeah. And most disastrous one, obviously the most disastrous that we are not able to chant, but the another effect of that is it is also manifest in the form of unwillingness to help others. Yeah. And other thing which also happens is unwillingness to give Krishna to others. That is also gets manifested. Now, if you dissect this whole envy piece, envy is actually self-envy. Envy is actually self-envy. Why? Because what happens? So what happens first when we are envious of others? Who's getting impacted? We. So envy in a sense is self-envy. We are getting self-impacted first. And that is the most important aspect that we always forget when we are affected by any kind of anarthas, because we are getting affected first, not the other person. That other person may not even know, he or she, somebody is envious of me, right? But so who's getting? It's like keeping burning charcoal coal in our hand. We are getting burned rather than before throwing to somebody else, right? Now, this so when we are getting burned in this particular self envy or self, what happens is we lose our peace of mind. So before even that person losing something, we lose our peace of mind. We are filled with negativity, malice, and grudge to that person without the person even knowing. Now, if you further dissect this, it is actually envy to Krishna. How? So this envy comes out of seeing others happiness or success. Who gave this happiness or success to that person? Krishna. Krishna reciprocated to the devotee or the person to the extent that person has faith, and gave them whatever opulence or happiness or success, name or fame. If we are envious to that person, who are we indirectly envious or rather directly envious to? Is Krishna. That is what is called as being envious to Krishna. Because all the happiness, all the success, all the name and fame is sanctioned by Krishna. Right? So indirectly or directly, we are envious to Krishna only. Now, the flip side of it, if we love God, if we love Krishna, what will happen is we will love others also. Yeah. So what we have to do, if by Krishna's mercy only we are able to identify that, yes, whether it is Putana, whether it is Bhagasura, whether it is Trinavarta, whether it is Shakatasura or Aghasura or whatever demons, asuras are there and whatever anarthas they represent, if you are able to detect, yeah, the immediate next aspect that we can endeavor is to increase our love to Krishna, increase our faith in Krishna, what will happen is, as earlier we saw, as negativity brings negativity, positivity also will bring positivity. We'll immediately, that change in our positivity, the increase in positivity will be seen. We'll start loving others also. So love of God means, that is very nice, which I heard. So love of God means loving God, loving those who love God, loving those who endeavor to love God, and loving those whom God loves. So loving God, loving those who love God, loving those who endeavor to love God, and most important also loving those whom God loves. It's such a simple formula that we can try to implement. Now, with all the with this, so when we speak about this envy, there is, we can, there is a glass of water, we can identify this is glass, this is water, right? Is there a way we can identify, is there a color to envy? There is no blue color or a green color or yellow color to envy, that it gets reflected all over my body, that oh boss, so much envy this person has. There is nothing like that, right? So envy can be identified whenever there is some disturbance, whenever that churning happens, right? Whenever there is loss of peace in our mind, whenever, obviously the most important, whenever there is disturbance in our sadhana, which means that there is some amount of anartha, some amount of envy is there. So that disturbance. So other day we were discussing about this wonderful, it's a nice analogy about some of us, we know about disturbance. Yeah, how we can classify disturbances. So there were these 4 friends. Okay. So these 4 friends one day decided to do Mauna Vrata. Okay. And to do tapasya. Yeah. So these 4 friends, so what they decide is, they'll go into a cave, not the Agasura cave, but the normal cave. They'll go into the cave and sit over there for a 1 full day. And what they have to practice? Mauna Vrata. Okay. And what they do is, because obviously it's a cave, it will be a little dark. So they light a candle, right? So light a candle, and so the day they start early morning, they start doing the Mauna Vrata. So everyone is nice, enthusiasm, hey, morning starts. So they are silent and maybe thinking of something, whatever meditation they're doing. So as the day progresses, everyone is rock solid in the tapasya. Everyone is looking at, everyone is Mauna. So as the evening progresses, obviously what happens is, it becomes dark. And as it becomes dark, this dear candle also will go down, right? It will not stay the same, right? So it also slowly goes down, down, down. Finally, boom, it is gone. It is dark. Immediately one of the person, he says, oh, the candle is gone. So what happens? His Mauna Vrata is broken. First one. As soon as this happened, second one says, oh, you broke your vow. The second one, uska vrata, gone. The third one says, why are you both disturbing me? Third one is also gone. Now the fourth one says, I won. His Mauna Vrata is also gone. Now, to identify this, right? The first one is when the candle went off, he got disturbed and his sadhana got disrupted. This is disruption due to external, the surroundings. To give a very, not a gross, but such an example, prasadam plate leke, you go in the line, I see 2 gulab jamuns in that plate and 1 gulab jamun in my plate. Just imagine the amount of disruption, the churning that happens. Trinavarta will be like, violent over here. Yeah. So disruption due to external surroundings. That is the first one. The second one, what did he do? He immediately said, you broke your vow. So what he did was he compared. There was a comparing mentality. Yeah. Now this comparative mentality is comes when we are more focused on what others are doing. Hey, uska kya hai, dekho. See how nicely he's doing, how much he's doing. So that comparing mentality is the second disruption or disturbance. The third one, what did the third one say? Why did you break? You broke my vow. The third one is anger. Anger is also one cause of distraction or disruption. And the most prevalent or the most disturbing part is the fourth one. Which one is that? I won. What is that? Pride. Yeah. So first one was due to external changes. This is very important. If you contemplate on this, right, it's a very nice pastime. But if you contemplate on this, we'll able to relate. At least I was able to relate to all this work. First one is disruption or distraction because of the external surroundings. The second one was due to comparing mentality. मेरे को दिया उसको नहीं उसको दिया मेरे को नहीं दिया. Comparing mentality. Third one is anger. Yeah. Whenever we drive in Bangalore, it is more prevalent, at least for me. Yeah. And my family also will vouch for that. The fourth one is pride. This is the most destructive of all. Yeah. So with that, if we just conclude, I have to stop at 9:45. So with that, if we summarize this whole pastime of Agasura, where first we saw how hearing about anarthas, hearing about these pastimes which bring about those those very fine points to contemplate on, whether it is just that Krishna contemplating on how to kill Aghasura. That itself that shows the compassionate nature of how much he, as a friend, he felt for the Gopas, right? Then we also saw Gopas without even considering whether that is a python or a Aghasura, Bakasura, whatever it is, with just that innocent and simple faith, they just entered the mouth of Aghasura. Yeah. So for us, when we hear this pastimes, hear this glorious pastimes of what Krishna has done in his, whether it is Balya Lila, Paugandila, or any Leelas, it helps us to detect all these, small, fine tuning that we have to do in our, day-to-day, especially because we are connected to this whole process of Krishna consciousness. It's very important for all of us that, we have to really, like that pilot, right? When the plane has taken off and it is cruising, right? The pilot has to just keep the dot. The dot is the plane. He has to just keep the dot on the track. So like that for us, if we are in the association of devotees, right, whether we fall on the right or whether we fall on the left, we always fall on devotees, front, back, everywhere we fall on devotees only. So they will help guide us. Yeah. So that is why association is very important. We might feel that sitting in a crowded, hall, it is difficult for me to sit, but devotees are there to protect us, whether it is left, right, back, or front. We can always depend on them. We can always rely on devotees. They are the only ones who can help us in this padam yat vipadam kind of a situation that we are. I hope everyone agrees that we are in a padam yat vipadam situation. Or else, please raise your hands, or at least raise your hands if nobody has anarthas in whatever proportion. I'm not saying you're having, but I'm saying whatever proportion it might be. So first and most important is helping these pastimes help us to detect these anarthas. Next, which helps us to try and endeavor to purify ourselves by hearing these pastimes. Yeah. Shoka moha bhaya apaha. It helps us reduce all this shoka, moha, and bhaya just by shravanam. That's all. Yeah. And then we also saw how Krishna, on this particular day, Krishna decided to go for a picnic with all his gopas, and what kind of fun they had. and the person who was waiting for them, with all his hatred and violent revenge that he want to take Agasura, what kind of act he performed and how Krishna helped the Gopas and helped Agasura also. One of the most intriguing piece is here is when the Gopas, after this Aghasura pastime was completed, do you know when? So Gopas, all Krishna and Gopas, after they finish their day-to-day activities, they return back and then they narrate everything what has happened that day. But you know what? This Aghasura pastime was narrated by the Gopas to their mothers after 1 year. Why? Because apart from the demigod, there is one more person who was looking at all these, and that was Lord Brahma. And that is when the Brahma Vimohana Leela happened. And after that 1 year, then they describe it was like, and the other interesting piece, your daughter is searching for you. The other interesting piece is Balramji was not here. Balramji was not here. Why? That day was Balramji's birthday. And Mother Rohini and Yashoda forcefully had to stop Balramji. Nene, you have to wait today because you have to give gifts and give charity to Brahmanas. Yesterday we did was Balram Jayanti, and probably this whole pastime would have happened. This pastimes always keep happening, right? Wherever. So this pastime would have already happened yesterday. This wonderful and today we have the maybe fortunate enough to hear this wonderful pastime. And the last piece which I wanted to really stress upon is this: the whole thing. Whether it is Srimad Bhagavatam or this Bhagavatam Katha or this association of devotees, the only piece, the only thing that we have to cherish and really try to act on, that is the act of being grateful. And today it is more important, as I said earlier also, because it is the day when Srila Prabhupada, this day is commemorated to the fact that this was the day when Prabhupada, so many years back, departed for US. And how more we can be grateful today, that, how much more we can be grateful to Srila Prabhupada and all his disciples and all his grand disciples, all our seniors who are there with us, who are always there to engage us in seva, so that it can help us purify ourselves. That's the most important aspect of doing any seva. There might be some, this layout is not nice. This layout has to be like this. You could have gone like that. This could have been kept like that. This mala could have been done like this. This flower could have been. All these things are there. But what is the purpose of doing all this is seva. And the intention that we should have is the attitude of gratitude. That's the only thing that we should really cherish, that actually help us increase our faith. I mean, I speak about all this thing which I've heard from seniors when I was trying to prepare for this class, but I'm also struggling to have that it's like that dot when the plane is cruising, to keep the dot on the track. It's a continuous endeavor. It's a continuous endeavor for all of us, whether it is in association, whether it is on a phone call, when talking to devotee. It's always we are trying to take association of devotees to help us be on that keep the dot on the track. It's exactly 9:45. Thank you so much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. You can correct me wherever.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. It's working, Prabhuji. It's working. Oh, no, not now.
Yeah. Thank you very much for a very nice class, Prabhuji.
Hope I satisfied you.
I have 3 questions. So the first question is kind of just information kind of question. So you said that, as soon as Krishna expanded, Agasura died, and then, there was a spark, right? It was waiting to merge into Krishna. So my question is, till that moment he was trying to kill Krishna, and just that moment, he died, he's trying to merge with Krishna. What happened in that instant?
So basically, so that whole thing was, so when Krishna was expanding, he was in the throat. Yeah. So in the throat, when somebody, if something is stuck in the throat physically, you feel choked up, right? You can't breathe. So Krishna expanded in such a way that he kind of choked up the whole throat of Aghasura. He could not breathe. That prana, right? The prana could not weigh, and his mouth was also closed. His prana could not move anywhere. The life air could not move anywhere. And he also started expanding to get some gap. But Krishna expanded multiple times in such a way that finally it went to that peak where he could not take any more. He was gasping for breath, and that is when the life air actually burst open. That is how it is mentioned. It burst open from the top of his head. That is how it means. So that's how, and when it burst open, the soul, obviously the soul is coming out, right? When it burst open. So that is how the soul comes out and waits over there. So probably that's how it is mentioned.
But why is he not in angry mode? He was in angry mode, trying to kill
So when
vengeance and
somebody
all.
is choking, if somebody is gasping for breath, right, this anger, happiness, emotions will all go off. So his mood totally changed to save himself when he was gasping for breath. So that anger and all went off. He realized, I am an insignificant person. That realization would have come definitely.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So Prabhuji, you mentioned that you get angry when you're driving. So I have that problem also.
Very
so,
good. I have somebody with me. We shouldn't drive together then.
no, I am trying to fix that. I've tried to reduce it, but it doesn't become like normal. So how do I eliminate it?
There are multiple ways we can do, Prabhuji. One is so I have so most I don't know if maybe I can deal with it later also. But then more frequently, there are 2-3 ways we can do this. One is change your path itself, where you feel that it is more of crowded where incidents happen. Your vehicle itself can win. But the most important part, most important way, what we should do is um, not only at that moment. See, everything is a practice for us. It's a training for us, Prabhuji. You believe it or not. Every time it is a training for us. Okay. So it's not that this anger comes. I just gave an example of driving. It's not that this anger comes only when driving. Anger manifests in multiple ways. You can ask my family also. Anger manifests in multiple ways. So at that moment, again, I'm saying the word I use is training. At that moment, whenever that anger is come, first of all, you stand in front of Radha Vinod and pray that whenever I'm in anger mood, you please give me that remembrance that somehow I should curb this anger. Okay. So whenever try to practice this, I'm trying, but I don't know how much I'm successful. But whenever there is that alert alarm should strike. That no, you pause. So to curb anger, pausing for a second instead of reacting, if you pause for a second, that makes a lot of difference. See, what happens when you're angry? You react, right? You don't respond, you react. So whenever you react, before you react, you try to practice to pause. I will tell my family to remind me of all those things when I go back. You have to pause. That pausing helps you a lot. Yeah. So maybe you can try that. Help me also after.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Huh?
Thank you, Prabhuji. So the third one was, so you mentioned that towards the end that, for the next 1 year after this killing of Agasura happened, so Brahma Vivartana Lila, right? So now Krishna expanded himself into all the Gopas. So my question was, during that 1 year, all of them were Krishnas. So now, what stories were they telling when they were going back and telling their parents? Were they also killing or?
I have not got into that depth for that particular Vimohana Leela. Maybe we should have another. We'll request the devotees to have a class on. It's a beautiful pastime, Brahma. We have to really hear it. Anybody else would like to answer? Definitely would please. So during the Brahma Vimohana Leela, that 1 year, the question was, what were the Gopas who were none other than Krishna? So what I heard, I mean, I'll just mention what I heard. Maybe the devotees can handle. So during, so as we said, they were all, Krishna had manifested, right? Krishna had manifested as all the Gopas, Asankhya. Yeah. So the gopis, the mothers and fathers, okay, they had no other time than just admiring the beauties of their lallas, because everyone was Krishna. So they had nothing else but to tend to them the same way as they would have done to Krishna, because obviously it was Krishna, but in the form of that Gopa. So they were spellbounded. They had nothing else to do but to just look at this wonderful form of Krishna in the form of in the Gopa body. That is what I understand. That is what whatever I've read and understood. They had nothing else to do. They were so spellbounded, but that by that beauty and the charm that Krishna had in the form of that young cowherd boys. I hope it answers. Anybody would like to add anything else that you heard? What did the Gopas did during the 1 year, during the Brahma Vimohana Leela? What did the Gopas, who was none other than Krishna, took the form of the Gopas at that 1 year? What did they do? Did another killing happen? Another pastime happen during that 1 year? Okay. Swayam Prakash Prabhu. So during that 1 year, Prabhu is asking what happened. After 1 year, they explained about Agasura. But during that 1 year, correct, no, Prabhuji, that is the question. During the 1 year. You know the answer, Prabhuji? No. Even, sorry, I put a Google. Okay. Yes, Sanatan Goswami. Mm. Okay.
Krishna, who is nothing but all the Gopas, they were enacting as they are the Gopas. That even the small monkey also, each and every calf also. There was no any difference, and the entire show was going like as if like daily affair, nothing special. But there was a special flavor each and every parent was experiencing.
Yeah. That love had increased multifold, and they did not know why. That's the most beautiful. Srinivas Gopal Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Amazing nectar, sir. One question talked about simple and innocent faith. So, can you elaborate more on, as practicing sadhakas, how do I develop innocence? So simple itself is become complex, but at least we are trying to figure out that part.
And on top of that,
innocence, can you give more enlightenment?
You have the answer. I know that, Prabhuji. I have seen the humility that you kind of portray. It's difficult, Prabhuji. It's very difficult to get to that level. Actually, the answer is there in that shloka itself. The shloka that we read, the 11th shloka, 10, 12, 11th shloka, where Prabhupada mentions that and how fortunate these Gopas were. And then Prabhupada writes a line. There is no elaboration. There is no elaboration. Prabhupada writes and translation that they have performed multiple pious activities. Prabhupada writes in the translation that. Now, but that elaboration of the pious activities, we can understand that, it's the Krishna conscious activities that they have done. Okay. So that helped them to have that simple and innocent faith, and that made them be in this particular pastime. Now, for us, it is very difficult to attain that, but our endeavor should be always there, is constantly there to at least meditate that, I should have Krishna, I should have that simple and innocent faith in you. that endeavor, that prayer itself, I think more than sufficient to, it's like pouring clear water in already murky water. That is what best we can do. Our Anantacharya Prabhu had come once. He did that experiment in the temple. He put a dirty glass of water with dirt in it. Then he said, how will you clear this without touching or without throwing off? Then he took another clear glass of water and he kept on pouring, and eventually this got cleared. Now, clear water means it is all clean slate, right? That itself says then it is you are innocence. A child, innocent child, right? There is nothing written on the slate. It's very innocent. Children they are. So if it is clear water is kind of innocent. So practice only probably would make that endeavor. And the only thing which I feel is, just prayers. That only, at least that helped me also. But prayers is the only way that we can achieve this. There's no other way. No other way.
Prabhu, I want to add a comment
Yes,
on this.
yes, Prabhu.
So innocence, right? I mean, I noticed that we devotees from ISKCON are far more innocent than what others are there. So, and sometimes, we are, I mean, I'm noticing most, and one friend of mine who was doing engineering with me and then did MBA with me, I introduced him to Krishna consciousness around 11 years back. And today he's calling and telling me, and he gives me gyan now the way I used to give him gyan in the beginning. And he says, one thing you have gifted me with Krishna consciousness. He's in Australia right now. He's initiated. He says, is I feel my innocence is preserved being in devotion. So your question, right, that we are, in fact, I think we are all innocent, because if you go and see to office, and you go and see people in office and people on the road, you are far more innocent than them. And sometimes we overthink. I want to become more innocent. And sometimes we just, I don't know if that's really going to help us.
This faith thing, right? I'll tell you something which happened recently in our office only. It is really, it actually struck me how Krishna works. This colleague of ours, he was a very aggressive kind of a person. Yeah, his name is Santosh. Very aggressive person. Whenever there is a town hall or something, he will. Anybody has question, his hands will be first. I'm not saying it. His hands will be first. But his questions were very aggressive questions. Yeah, not from a point of asking in a submissive way. Very aggressive. The person had a lot of aggression. You know what? He met with a horrible accident. Yeah, that accident was, he was standing waiting at a signal and some truck or something came and hit. He hit his head to the extent that he went into coma. He lost his memory. He became a child. Somehow, past 2-3 months, he has revived. He is coming back. He's coming to the office. You know what happened the other 3 or 4 days back? I have one devotee friend along with me, Vikram Chaitanya Prabhu. So he doesn't remember us and all. Okay. None of his, even manager also he remembers just now. Prabhu went to him. So he said, Santosh, do you remember me? Then he kind of, he's trying to memorize Vikram, Hare Krishna. That was shocking. Prabhuji, when he told me, I was like shocked. So he would have heard from him sometimes. Prabhuji, believe me, a person who's gone to coma, he's lost his memory. I mean, today also when I see him, Prabhuji, he cries every day. In the office, he cries because he's kind of, cry to the extent that, he is grateful to whoever he sees. He expresses gratitude to that person. That, I am saved and I am here talking to you. Karke. Thank you for your prayers. Karke. He's expressing this every day. And the icing of the cake was this. He said, Krishna, Hare Rama. He said, Ruja, I was like spellbound. Now, wouldn't this help increase our faith in Krishna? What more do we want? What more do we want that, to accept the fact that, Krishna, the name, the holy name works. He did not give him books. He just mentioned that word to him. That word is so powerful. This works, probably. Yeah. So I hope that answers. Yes. Mike, you can take them.
The whole, Dandavat Pranams, Prabhu.
Done.
Actually, the whole Kurukshetra war came about because Yudhishthira was innocent. Like he said, no, the qualities of a devotee is, one is they will be naturally innocent because it's in the stage of pure goodness. So they cannot think anybody as bad. That's why, he couldn't see the Kauravas, whereas the others they could make out that they are bad. So one thing when he said, it struck me,
Yeah.
Yudhishthira was an example of innocence. Yeah,
Very nice.
thank you.
Madhu. Thank you
Sorry.
for sharing. No, thank you, Madhu.
No.
Thank you for sharing. We'll end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, devotees. So, what a wonderful class. Sri Balaji Prabhu don't need any introduction. Everybody knows here. So, Sri Balaji Prabhuji, thank you very much for taking us back into the time. And as if it was the past times were happening in front of us. I think many of us would agree to this. Yeah. And I wish this katha would continue like this, but in the interest of time, we, yeah.